Okay, so I have my circuit set up for objective 1. I have the analog potentiometer. This is going to the 5 volt power. Back here is the control. The black wire comes over here to the control analog A0. Let's see, the LED is getting power from pin 8. Pin 8 is going over here to the 220 ohm fixed resistor. Comes down to the LED over here to the left, and then down the yellow wire. This is the ground line. The orange here goes to ground. Also the analog here. This is also going to ground as well. So here's the code. Basically, I have the LED is set to pin 8, and the analog resistor is set to pin A0. So pin 8 is set as an output. Basically what I have here is if the sensor value, or the analog potentiometer, is greater than 600, then the LED will turn on, and if it is not, then the LED will turn off. So right now I have the potentiometer is at 438. As you can see, it's not on. But if I go up above 600, the LED turns on. Okay, this is my circuit for objective 3. I have my power and ground going from 5 volt here and ground here to power here and ground here. So this is the power line, this is the ground line. For the LEDs, I have the yellow and red here. Yellow is going from pin 9 all the way over here up to the 220 ohm resistor, across the LED, and then back down here from the yellow wire to ground. Same with the red here. Red's coming from digital pin 8 up here to these 22 ohm or 220 ohm resistor, up with the red LED, and then back down here with the yellow wire to the ground wire, ground line. For the push buttons, let's see, we have the digital pin 2 and 3. 3 is coming over around here to the second push button. Number 2 goes to the first push button. I do have 220 ohm resistors coming from the power before the beginning of the push button, and at the end of the push button it goes from the green wires to the ground. This is the code that I have here. These are the variables that I have set for each of the pins. This is setting the LED pins as outputs, and this here pin mode is setting the push button pins 2 and 3 as inputs. These are the variables that I have here to check for the push button state. Over here I have if button state 1 is low or button state 2 is low, then the LED will turn on, and if not, the LED will turn off. Over here I have if button state 1 is low and button state 2 is low, then the red LED will turn on, and if they're not both on, the LED will be off. So as you can see, yellow turns on. With this button here, yellow turns on, but if both of them are pressed, then the red turns on. Alrighty, so here's my circuit for objective 4. I got power and ground coming from the 5 volt pin here and the ground pin here, all the way up to the power line and the ground line here. For the LEDs, I have the red LED going from pin 8 up over here and then back down to ground. Yellow LED is pin 10 across the 220 ohm resistor up over here, back down to the ground line. And the green LED is pin 12. That's going to cross the 220 ohm fixed resistor up over here, across the LED, back down to ground. The push buttons, I'm going to do my best here. So from power, each one of these push buttons are all being crossed with a 220 ohm resistor, which then goes up to each of the starting push buttons. The red wires are going from digital pin 2, digital pin 3, and digital pin 4. As pin 1, 2, and 3 is digital pin 2, 3, and 4. And then each one of these pins cross with a green wire back down to ground. So here's the code that I have here. Here's all the variables that I have. Push button 2, 3, or 1, 2, and 3. There's the variables for the LEDs. And here I have all the LEDs all set up as outputs, and the push buttons are all set up as inputs. Here I have the variable set up for the digital read. Here I have a couple if statements. The first one is if the push button 1 is set to low and the other two are set to high, or if the first push button is on and the second one and the third one are off, then push button number 1 or the red LED will be on. Same thing with these other two. So this one here has if push button number 2 is low and the other two are high, then push button number 2 or the yellow LED will be on. And this last is if push button 3 is low and push button 2 and 1 are high, then push button 3 or the green LED will turn on. So I push the first one, the red light comes on, the second button, yellow turns on, third button, green turns on. But if I push both, like if I push the first two, nothing. If I push the second and third one, no lights. All three, no lights. Alrighty, so this is the circuit setup for the line tracker. It's pretty simple. There's only 3 paths. So we have the 5-volt power. This is going from the orange wire all the way to the middle red wire here for the line tracker. That's for the power. For the ground, it's the black wire that comes all the way around here. This is going to the right pin, the black wire. And the last one is the yellow wire. This connects the analog read all the way over here, all the way up to pin A0. So this is the code. Best to explain this. I have my serial monitor set to 9600 bauds. This is displaying that the sensor value is set to the analog A0. Right here, if the sensor value is less than 220, the serial monitor is going to display the line white line detected. Also, if the sensor value is greater than 860 and the sensor value is less than 950, then the serial monitor is going to display black line detected. If it's anything else, then the serial monitor is going to display unknown. White line and black line is essentially black and white tape. So I have this set up on top of the Arduino box. So I'm going to put this over the black. Now, as you can see, it's saying black line detected, 860, 815. Then I'm going to move this over to the white. It's saying white line detected. And over here, I'm going to move this to the blue little thing here. As you can see, it's 500 or unknown.